Good morning, students. Let's start with the next topic, deadlock, avoidance. How we can avoid the deadlock. In the last video we have seen resource allocation graph and deadlock prevention. In deadlock prevention we have to make any one of the condition false out of those four which we have seen. That is, first one, mutual exclusion. That is, we have to make it false for the shareable resources, make it true only for the non-shareable resources. Then second one, hold and wait. We have to ask the processes to release the existing resources whenever they want to request a new resource. And third one, no preemption. If they don't get the requested resource immediately, then the processes has to release the existing resource. Then the last one, the system should take care that there should not be any circular bit. That is how we have prevented the deadlock. So coming to the next topic, that is avoidance. For this purpose we will use two methodologies. One is a single instance of a resource type. There we use a resource allocation graph itself to avoid the deadlock. Then second one is multiple instances of a resource type. There we use Banker's algorithm. Okay, let's continue with the first one, that is single instance of resource type. In this video we will see that. In next video we will see Banker's algorithm again. So coming to the resource allocation graph scheme, in this already we have seen request edge and assignment edge. If request edge is nothing but if there is a directed edge from process to the resource, then we have called it as a request edge. Assignment edge is nothing but if there is a directed edge from resource to the process, then that is called as assignment edge. Here one more edge extra we are getting, that is claim edge. Whenever there is a dotted directed edge from process to the resource, then that is indicated by process request. That means the process can request the particular resource in future. That is what that will be represented by dashed line. Claim edge get convert to the request edge when a process requests to a resource. Whenever we represent that with a dotted line, that means it can happen in the future, but that claim edge gets converted into a request edge only when the particular process actually requests the resource. Earlier when we are assuming, that time it was with a dashed line. When actually process requests it, it will get converted to a request edge. Then request edge get converted to an assignment edge when the resource is allocated to the process. That means whenever request is allotted, then the request edge will be converted to assignment edge. When resource is released by the process, assignment edge reconverts to a claim edge. We'll see with an example, then you will better understand. See, in this case, process P1 is holding the resource R1, process P2 is requesting the resource R1. Then here there is one more resource called as R2. Process P1 can request this R2 resource in future. We are not sure. Right now it is not requesting. And even process P2 is not requesting the resource R2 right now, but they may request this particular resource R2 in future. So for that purpose it is represented with a dashed line. This is called as a claim edge. Process P1 may claim the resource R2 in future. Process P2 also may claim the resource R2 in future. So coming to this, now assume that process P2 actually request the resource R2. So dotted line is replaced by complete line, means there is a directed edge from process to the resource, then it is called as request edge. So claim has got converted into a request edge. So when this will get converted into an assignment edge, whenever this resource is available, it can be allocated to P2, then it will get converted to an assignment edge. What about resource R2 availability? No, it is available. But before allocating this resource R2 to the P2, one more thing we need to check. By allocating this resource to the P2, is there any cycle is going to form in our system? That we have to check. So let's go to the next slide. Now assume that you have assigned that resource, we have assigned that resource R2 to the P2 because there is a directed edge from resource R2 to the P2. That means resource R2 is allocated to the P2 as it was requested here. P2 was requesting resource R2 here, then it is allocated here. It is assigned. But check whether after allocating this resource R2 to the P2, whether it is forming any cycle in our system. R2 is with P2, P2 is requesting R1, R1 is with P1, P1 is requesting R2, it can request in R2, then definitely there is a cycle. See the arrow mark? There is a cycle in this. So when you convert request edge into an assignment edge, if it is forming any cycles, then you should not allocate this. So that is why I have written unsafe state in a resource allocation graph. If you do this kind of assignments, then there is a possibility of deadlock, because in future if P1 also requests the resource R2, then the deadlock will occur. Then that is why it is represented as unsafe state. So in most of the situation we try to avoid this kind of assignments, but here it is okay because we are not sure about P1 whether it will request or not. But if it requests, then the possibility of deadlock will be there in your system. Now we'll see with the safe state. So in this graph we have seen no, P1 is actually requesting R2, not P2. Actually both were claiming in future they may request the R2, but in this case actually P1 is requesting the resource R2 right now. Then we will convert that request edge into an assignment edge, then check whether it is forming any cycle in the system. No, because this arrow is like this and this is like this. There is no cycle is getting formed because R2 is with P1, P1 is having R1, then P1 completes the execution. One P1 complete the execution, P2 will get the R1 and then it will complete. If that time R2 also will be free, then P2 also complete the execution. This kind of allocation is possible. This will not form any deadlock in your system. So this is how the resource allocation graph is used in avoiding the deadlock. So come to the conclusion. Suppose that the process PR request resource edge. The request can be granted only if converting the request edge to an assignment edge does not result in formation of a cycle in the resource allocation graph. That's what I said. If you are converting request edge into an assignment edge, if it is forming a cycle, then don't allocate that. If it is not forming a cycle, then allocate it. Because here it is not forming a cycle, it is okay. That's why we have converted request edge into an assignment edge. But in this case, if you convert this request edge into, here he has requested, this is a request edge, here you have converted request into an assignment, but after converting it is becoming an cycle. So in this case we have to avoid it. Next, the most important topic, that is Banker's algorithm. Based on this, problems are there, so I need to solve and send. So for that we will have a separate video. Thank you.